The first sign that something was wrong came on a crisp Wednesday morning, when a golf ball shattered the silence of my living room window. I'd been sipping coffee, half-dressed in pajama pants and a faded t-shirt, scrolling through emails on my laptop. The crash jolted me upright, coffee sloshing onto my keyboard as glass sprayed across the hardwood floor. Outside, a chorus of cheers erupted, a dozen retirees in pastel polos and VY sores, clapping like they'd just witnessed a hole-in-one. I stumbled to the window, peering through the jagged hole, and saw a man in khakis while VYing at me from my own lawn, a golf club slung over his shoulder like a rifle. "Great shot, huh?" he yelled, grinning. Before I could process the absurdity, another Figueroa woman with a perm so tight it looked like a helmet rolled up in a golf cart leaned out and asked if she could borrow my garden hose to refill their water jugs. That's when I knew my sanctuary, my 5 acres of hard-earned solitude, had been hijacked. My name's Ethan Carver. I'm a 38-year-old data analyst who traded a decade of Silicon Valley chaos for this patch of land in rural Oregon, a quiet escape, where I could work remotely, tend a vegetable garden, and let my golden retriever, Jasper, roam free. I'd bought the property 3 years ago, cash in hand, after a meticulous survey confirmed every inch was mine. No easements, no shared rights, just 5 acres of rolling hills and whispering pines I'd paid for with years of late nights and migraines. So you can imagine my confusion when I stepped outside that morning, barefoot and fuming, to find my land transformed into a golf course. Bright red flags fluttered in the breeze, manicured turf stretched across my meadow, and a gaudy sign near my driveway proclaimed Pine Hollow Links, a community treasure. A treasure? On my land? At the center of it all stood Linda Grayson, the Homeowners Association president. She was a wiry woman in her late 50s, decked out in a lime green polo and sunglasses so oversized they could have doubled as a windshield. She perched in her golf cart like a suburban dictator, barking orders at a teenager who was hosing down a portable snack stand-me old tool shed, now rechristened the Bunker Bites. When I marched up to her, still clutching my coffee mug like a lifeline, she didn't even flinch. "Oh, Ethan," she said, her voice dripping with condescension. "You're welcome. We've been planning this for months. Don't worry, it's just the back half of your property. You weren't using it anyway." She flashed a smile, so smug I wanted to chuck my mug at her head. "Property values are going to soar. You'll thank me later." I blinked, my brain struggling to catch up. "You built a golf course on my land without asking me." She waved a hand dismissively. "It's a community easement. We found an old map, shared potential, legal jargon you wouldn't understand. Our attorney says it's fine." Then she laughed, a sharp, grating sound, and sped off to inspect a putting green that used to be my blackberry patch. I stood there, steam practically rising from my ears as a golf cart zipped past, its driver shouting, "Watch your head, buddy." A ball whizzed by, missing my mailbox by inches. That's when I realized this wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a coup. The next few days were a nightmare. Golfers swarmed my property like locusts sparking on my gravel drive, trampling my zucchini plants, Leah VYing empty beer cans in my rose bushes. Jasper hid under the porch, whining at every thwack of a club. One guy sliced a shot so badly it ricocheted off my barbecue grill and plopped into Jasper's water bowl. I called the HOA's hotline, yes. They had a hotline and left a furious voicemail about trespassing. Linda called back an hour later, her tone syrupy sweet. "Ethan, you don't want to be that neighbor, do you? The one who spoils everyone's fun." I hung up, grabbed my laptop, and pulled up every document I had. The deed, the survey, the tax records. I even woke up my old surveyor, Tom, at 11 p.m., begging him to confirm what I already knew. "No easement, Ethan," he grumbled, half asleep. "You own it all. They're full of crap." That's when it hit me. They hadn't just stolen my land, they'd invested in it. They'd seeded grass, installed sprinklers, built benches, even poured concrete for a snack shack. They'd spent money, serious money, not because they had a legal leg to stand on, but because they thought I'd roll over. Linda and her cronies had underestimated me. Big mistake. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm a data guy. I know how to dig, how to strategize, how to wait. So I smiled, poured myself a whiskey, and decided to let them keep digging figuratively and literally. They wanted a golf empire? Fine. I let them build it. I let them sink every dime they had into it. And then, when they least expected it, I'd pull the rug out from under them. The next morning, I showed up at their grand opening for Pine Hollow Links. I wore a polo shirt I dug out of a MOVYing box, clapped politely as Linda cut a ribbon with oversized scissors, and even shook her hand. She squinted at me, confused but pleased. "See? I knew you'd come around," she said, adjusting her sunglasses. "You're going to love being part of this." "Oh, I wouldn't miss it," I replied, grinning like an idiot. She had no idea I'd just launched phase one of my counterattack. The trick to winning a war of attrition is patience gold, calculated, maddening patience. You let your enemy think they're in V-wine Cybele. Let them strut and preen while you gather intel and sharpen your blade. I needed to know everything about Linda's operation, how they were funding it, who was backing it, where the cracks were. So I became Walter, a retired accountant with a limp and a fondness for plaid. I set up a fake Gmail account, joined the HOA's email list, and RSVP'd to their next planning meeting with a note about how excited I was to contribute. They ate it up. By Thursday night, I was sitting in Linda's garage now, a war room plastered with golf posters and a whiteboard labeled Phase 2, sipping lukewarm iced tea and nodding along as she rambled about elevating the neighborhood. The meetings were a goldmine. The HOA had no permits, no real lawyer, no budget beyond their dwindling reserve fund money meant for pothole repairs and storm drains. Linda had conned VY and said everyone that Pine Hollow Links was a long-term investment, and they bought it hook, line, and sinker. But the fund was nearly dry, and she was already pushing for a signature clubhouse on my land complete with a bar, lounge, and patio. I saw my opening. Raising my hand as Walter, I croaked, "What about a water feature out front? Maybe some LED lights for evening games? People love a VYB." Linda's eyes sparkled like I'd handed her a winning lottery ticket. "Yes, that's the VY sound we need," she crowed, scribbling fountain on the whiteboard. No one asked how they'd pay for it. They were too busy dreaming. Over the next few weeks, I became their golden boy. I suggested a Pine Hollow Open tournament, a digital leaderboard app, even branded VY sores for members. Every idea was met with cheers and more spending. Linda started hitting homeowners with special assessments, mandatory fees dressed up as voluntary donations. People grumbled, but she guilt-tripped them into compliance. "Do you want to be why we can't have a championship course?" she'd snap at town halls. She even floated a payment plan with late fees. It was a house of cards, and I was fanning the flames. Then came the clubhouse. They broke ground on my land pouring a foundation, framing walls, installing plumbing. Linda handed me, as Walter, a stack of blueprints and asked, "Could you check the soil stability? You're good with numbers." I nodded solemnly, promising to call a buddy in zoning. Instead, I whipped up a fake land use permit, a masterpiece of vague legalese, stamped with a notary seal I'd snagged at a thrift store. It claimed the clubhouse was a temporary community enhancement. Linda filed it without a second glance, and construction roared ahead. I watched from my porch, sipping coffee, as they painted Pine Hollow Clubhouse, swing into greatness on the side. The arrogance was breathtaking. The soft opening was a circus balloons, a jazz trio, a barbecue pit smoking ribs. Linda gave a speech about VY Cyanary leadership, and I, still Walter, clapped from the back, nearly choking on a slider from suppressed laughter. A local news crew filmed it all, calling it a suburban success story. Linda thanked Walter on camera, and I waved, my fake limp on full display. They had no clue I'd already hired a Layera shark named Rachel who lived for cases like this. I'd given her everything: the deed, the survey, their forged permit, their Facebook posts bragging about every dollar spent. But I held off on the kill shot. I wanted them all in, financially and emotionally. Timing is everything. The reckoning came 3 weeks later, an HOA meeting in the clubhouse. I dropped my cease and desist letter on their table like a grenade 10 pages of legal dynamite, demanding they halt all active VY on parcel 17C, my land, due to trespassing, illegal construction, and zoning violations. I'd included photos of Linda grinning at the ribbon cutting right beside my mailbox. The final line warned of fines, lawsuits, and a state investigation into their misuse of funds. Linda snatched it up, laughing like I was joking. "This is ridiculous," she scoffed. 3 minutes later, she wasn't laughing. The room erupted. Someone spilled a pitcher of lemonade. A guy in a VY sore yelled about his due like 2,000 donation. A woman shrieked about a lien on her house. I stood up, shedding Walter's limp, and said, "Oh, that's just the warm-up. The summons hits next week." Then I walked out, Leah VYing them to marinate in panic. 2 days later, Rachel unleashed hell. Fines rolled in due law $2,000 a day for land use, due law $1,000 for structural violations, due law $500 for unpermitted events. Every HOA member got a letter outlining their liability. Their lawyer, a semi-retired estate planner named Greg, quit when he saw the fake permit, muttering about fraudulent lunacy. Linda called emergency meetings, but her allies bailed. I tipped off a rival news station, and their story, HOA's green fantasy turns legal horror, went VY Ral, complete with drone shots and a clip of me saying, "I just want my land back." Reddit exploded with memes. Linda as a monopoly thug, the clubhouse as a sandcastle labeled built on BS. Court was a slaughter. Rachel buried them in EVY Denke, VY Deos, receipts, their own gloating posts. Linda showed up alone. Her board VYing abandoned her. The judge ruled in my favor in hours. Damages, EVY tie-in, and an order to dismantle everything. Better yet, the clubhouse built with HOA money on my land was liquidated to pay me restitution. Through a shell LLC, I bought it at auction for due law one glorious dollar. Linda watched, arms crossed, as I unlocked the door. She'd been ousted as president, shunned by the neighborhood. I heard she'd moved to her cousin's place in Idaho, HOA there. Poetic. I could have stopped there, but Linda wouldn't quit. She staged a rally in the clubhouse parking lot, me parking lot, VYing a megaphone and a sign screaming, I was betrayed. A dozen confused residents watched her rant about me being a scheming outsider. Someone ate popcorn. It flopped, hard VY Deos hit TikTok, and Linda Links became a meme for delusional tyrants. The HOA dissolved soon after, broke and humiliated. I didn't torch the clubhouse. Instead, I turned it into the Pine Collective, a hub for local startups, a brewery, a pottery studio, a dog groomer. The old course became the Commons, a free market for food trucks and artisans. I hosted a Linda Open, a goofy mini-golf event with holes mocking the saga. Hundreds came, laughing and healing. Linda showed up once, in a floppy hat disguise, ordering a juice under a fake name. I smiled and said, "Hey, Linda, liking the collective?" She bolted, tripping over a fern. Standing on my land one evening, watching kids chase fireflies where fairways once stood, I felt a quiet VY Tory. They'd come with greed and golf carts. I'd answered with patience and precision. They built their downfall, and I turned it into something better, not out of spite, but because I could. Funny how a single golf ball can topple an empire when it lands in the right hands. If you were the one in this story, how would you react? Would you stand up and fight back, or accept the unreasonable pressure and control from the HOA? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this VY Deo with more people. Your small action gives us the motivation to keep bringing you more intense and engaging stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next VY Deo.